Thank you so much, Eric. I'm feeling very just honored to be sharing space with all you today. Really kind of touched, honestly. Um, yeah, it's and also honored to be following up after Sharon and Eli Wren. It's just like woof, the all stars. But it's great. I'm
Well,
really
let's
excited.
go. But there's actually a triplet. That was actually Lev White, who is an
Alto.
additional.
Uh,
Yeah, we are resplendent with all stars.
So, yeah, my name, as Eric said, my name is Corey Adkins. I use he, him pronouns. I normally reside on the lands of the Chinook peoples, which is called Portland, Oregon. But in this very moment, I am actually on the lands of the Otomi peoples in Santiago de Querétaro, Mexico. And so, kind of traveling around right now, kind of getting to meet some new lands, or some familiar lands. I've been here quite a few times. This is where my father-in-law lives, so we're here visiting family. And yeah, I just want to thank everyone for having this space, and welcome everyone here. Um, to give a little bit of a history of who am I and how did I get here. Um, I, uh, I think I was reflecting on a little bit on kind of what is my sort of what was kind of my path of liberation, and something that was kind of new that I hadn't kind of we all have our little biographies that we recite, right? Our little sort of scripts that we do when people ask us who we are and what we do. And, if you've been in enough Dharma stuff, you have your little Dharma script too, that you recite. And, but I appreciated the chance to kind of sort of throw that out the window and just sort of, think about, okay, what brings me here? And I realized that before I encountered the Buddhist path, that really my first sort of encounter with a lineage of liberations was with the music that we call jazz. And because from a pretty young age, I think about 12 years old, I started really kind of seriously playing a lot of that music and kind of being really sort of surrounded by it. It was kind of me. That was what me and my friends did in high school was we went and played jazz and got to study that and just really sort of be kind of sort of bathed in that kind of tradition of liberation. So that's why I snuck in there a little bit of Charles Mingus at the beginning, because I think I have a particular connection with him, and he actually had a particular connection with the land not particularly far from here. He spent the last years of his life in Cuernavaca, Mexico, which is it's a little way south, but closer to Mexico City, which is where I normally am. Yeah, and then from there, I in kind of late in college, I encountered Buddhism. Was really struggling, I think, at that point with some things, and I had a friend who just sort of introduced me to meditation, kind of very sweetly gave me a little sort of, I think it was like a Jack Cornfield sort of just printed out kind of meditation, and I was like, oh, I like this feels really right, and I ended up feeling so right that I got really, really involved with it, and I ended up finding the next thing he gave me to read was a book called Shambhala: Sacred Path of the Warrior by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, and I then kind of uh, realized that, hey, as I Googled Shambhala, that there's a whole community that's around that book, and that kind of teaching. So then kind of got really deep into the Shambhala community and just really kind of into those practices for a number of years. And through that, I was able to have the good fortune to attend a retreat about, I would say, probably like 200 miles to the west of here in a town called Pátzcuaro, which is in Michoacan state, Mexico, of like young people come from Europe and South America and North America, who were also involved in the Shambhala community. and that's where I met my wife, which is why I'm here now because we're visiting family. And yeah, I just had a really, was really fortunate to kind of be part of something really kind of powerful and alive there, with kind of a sort of kind of movement within that organization that was trying to bring kind of a lot of sort of positive change and a change to kind of be more aware of injustice within the community and be more aware of how we could kind of really sort of be socially involved. And some of y'all might know Alex Rodriguez. He was involved with that as well with me, and we became good friends through that. Um, and then after a few years, that you may all have heard that there was a little bit of a Me Too move kind of moment with Shambhala. um, and as that was happening, I thanks Holly, I had Alex vibes. That's sweet. uh, as that was happening, Lama Rod, I think he gave a talk at the Atlanta Shambhala Center that was recorded and shared. Kind of really, speaking really uh, kind of truthfully and you know kind of bluntly to the community about what was going on, that was just really helpful for me at that point of like that's exactly like what I needed to hear in that moment, because my whole world was on fire at that time, right? And I kind of knew immediately that it was like, this guy is amazing and I really want to kind of get a chance to sort of learn more from him. And I think it was only a few months later that he did a retreat in LA, that I was able to attend. And that from there kind of, it was pandemic time pretty soon after, right? That was like 2019. And he opened up this medicine Buddha space, and I kind of, I don't think I was here right away, but I think I joined in pretty soon after it started and have been coming since. Yeah, and I think it's all this practice is always is such an interesting thing, because I think it's been so, for me, so important to have this space where I can channel this energy of feeling like we need to, like this urgency, this feeling of urgency of like we need to help, like end this suffering, this kind of urgent kind of um you know need to kind of remove the oppression and the violence and the injustice and all these things that um I think from I remember being, and I'm sure a lot of you have had this experience too, where I remember like being a kid, a child, and like feeling like this isn't right, that feeling of like this isn't what the world should be, right? Or this isn't uh like it should be something different, and I think that medicine Buddha has just given me this space to sort of be able to kind of come on a weekly basis and really just start to kind of just pour that energy and that kind of feeling of the sort of need for liberation into a place where it's like I can really feel like it's kind of moving somewhere, right? Like the energy is getting pushed towards something, and it isn't just me, I don't know, doom scrolling, right? Or whatever it is that you end up doing when that energy isn't getting moved or expressed, right? And it just gets stuck inside of you. So I'm been really grateful for this space. I think um, it's so interesting because it's so powerful and yet it's so subtle too. Like I can I there's times where I feel so clearly like the magic, and then there's times where it's like I'm not sure anything's happening at all. And I think sometimes I feel both, which is kind of, it's like really hard to describe, but that there's like somehow it's like they're both happening at the same time. But I've just developed a lot of like kind of trust in this, that like something's happening. Like, I mean, there's a reason why we're all here, right? There's a reason we keep coming, right? It's not just because we're all really, nice to look at and it's fun to stare at the cameras together, right? Um, Yeah, thanks, Eric. I hope is it just me? S- um yeah, and it's sort of just living with that. I think Lama Rod has he's so kind about the way he presents that, where it's like you don't need to worry about whether you feel like something's happening or not. You don't need to worry, you don't need to worry if the visualization isn't happening for you or any sort of aspect of the practice. It's just really kind of a practice of trust. And, I think that trust, it's more and more, the more I kind of put trust into this practice, into this space, the more sort of undeniable it sort of becomes to me that there is something going on here. I like it there's been so many auspicious coincidences in my life that are just like, yeah, there's no way that that's just chance. And I think that the more I sort of kind of practice that faith of like just trusting and just sort of letting go, the more I noticed that stuff happening. The more I noticed that it's like, yeah, r- just encounters that you would never expect, like that. I had a dear friend of mine from who lives in Mexico City, which is a city of 20 million people. I think it's like just insanely large. And we were like, my wife and I were walking down the street, and he's like driving down the street next to us and stops and like to say, to like give us a hug and share love. And it was just like, yeah, that's crazy. Right? There's just things that happen. It's just like, no, that's just I don't know. It's seems more likely that there's something going on there than it is that it's just chance. But there's also I'll still admit that there's a skeptical part of my mind that's like, nah, you're full of it. Like it's like, this is you've drank the Kool-Aid, right? Or whatever, but it's just like, okay, that's fine. That voice is trying to help me too. That voice is trying to kind of keep me safe. But yeah, I think it's just been such a practice for me, Medicine Buddha, of just surrendering into it. Um, I I'm a person who really wants to kind of intellectualize everything, really wants to kind of figure everything out. And I don't know if he said it recently, but I know Lama Rod has said it so many times of you can't figure it out. You're never gonna figure it out. And that uh, you know, I have to repeat that to myself a lot because I still want to. But I feel like I really kind of started to internalize that a little bit and sort of just relax into the space. Mhm. Um, I was enjoying a little bit of relaxation there. um, I think how I wanted to start to kind of move to getting into the practice a little bit is for me. I've noticed that the way that really sort of wakes me up and I can kind of really enter into the practice in a really kind of vulnerable way is really through sort of touching in with kind of my heart and my kind of compassion, my sense of there's a in the Shambhala teachings they talk about a tender heart of sadness, right? Which is this feeling of your heart, the feeling of kind of vulnerability that your heart is really just kind of exposed and like you know, if a mosquito landed on your heart, it would break open, right? You're just so kind of tender and touched to be sort of present and be in connection with the world. And I wanted to share to kind of um, start our practice. There's a poem that's for me very often very helpful for me to sort of touch in with that sense of kind of vulnerability and open heartedness. So I wanted to read that poem to start our practice. I did want to mention that this poem has a mention of sexual violence. So if anyone needs to sort of put themselves on mute for right now, their speakers, there will be space after the poem uh, for you to kind of be in that, and then re turn on your speakers afterwards. But the poem is by Thich Nhat Hanh, who's another kind of really dear teacher, and a teacher who has been coming to me a lot more and more lately. And so it felt really kind of important for me to share something from him today. But I'm sure some of you know this poem. It's called "Please Call Me by My True Names." So I'll go ahead and start reading that. Don't say that I will depart tomorrow. Even today, I am still arriving. Look deeply. Every second I am arriving. To be a bud on a spring branch. To be a tiny bird with still fragile wings, learning to sing in my new nest. To be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower. To be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that is alive. I am a mayfly metamorphizing on the surface of a river, and I am the bird that swoops down to swallow the mayfly. I am a frog swimming happily in the clear water of a pond, and I am the grass snake that silently feeds itself on the frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks, and I am the arms merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl, refugee on a small boat, who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. And I am also the pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I am a member of the Politburo with plenty of power in my hands, and I am the man who has to pay his debt of blood to my people, dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like spring, so warm it makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast it fills the four oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names, so I can wake up and the door of my heart could be left open, the door of compassion. So in this space now, holding this, whatever feelings have come up after hearing that, I'd like to invite everyone to touch in with their intention today for the practice. Lama Rod always says that our intention ultimately is the liberation of all beings. But I think it can be helpful to find our own words for that. How does that look for you in this moment? And taking that intention, we can begin to touch in with the ground underneath us, feeling our connection with the earth, feel the weight of our bodies and the seat rising up to hold us. Showing us kindness, caring for us. And now that we've touched in a little bit with the earth, I invite everyone to open up to the space around them. You could raise your gaze if you'd like, and just rest in the space around us. It's nothing we need to do. Know where we need to be. Nothing we need to feel. Just being in space. And as we're sitting in space, we may begin to feel the presence of Medicine Buddha joining us here in this space. Always available. And to help invoke Medicine Buddha in the space, we will start with our first chant, which is Om Menla Sangye Kino Soha. Medicine Buddha, I pray that you know and look upon me now. And if there's any way we need to take that chant and make it ours, change the words in a way that is more fitting to what we need in this moment, we can do that. Lama Rod has always encouraged us to do so. We'll start with a prolonged Om, and then and as well as end with one, and then we will chant the chant 3 times. And for those of you who don't wish to chant, that's perfectly fine. You can just be in the space. Om. in la sangye ki no so Om in la sangye ki no so Om in la sangye ki no so Om. Now that we've invited Medicine Buddha into this space, we can see if the feeling of the space has changed at all. The feeling in our bodies has changed at all. We can begin to, for those of us who wish to practice with a visualization, begin to imagine Medicine Buddha in whatever form that they take in this moment, whatever the archetypal healer appears to you as in this moment. Could be a being that had shown you a lot of care in the past. Could be the classic depiction of Medicine Buddha that we can see in our prayer doc. Any form that this energy that has joined us in the space feels right to take. And we can imagine that that archetypal healer is here in our heart center, here in our vulnerable, aching hearts, wishing, just like we do, to free all beings from suffering. And as we touch in with that feeling, we notice in our heart centers a radiant light beginning to shine out from the Medicine Buddha in our heart centers. Caring, kind light that doesn't just wish to free all beings, but wishes to free us too. Make sure to include yourself in that. May I be free. And that light of Medicine Buddha grows in our heart center like a sun, warm, bright, begins to flow into our bodies, filling our bodies like a container, like water into a vase. And as we're filled up, we're healed. Our bodies are healed. Our minds are healed. Our ancestors begin to be healed. Our descendants are healed. Being filled with light, light that flows like water, that cares for us, that wants us to be free. And as we begin the main mantra, the practice, we can focus on this light filling our bodies, really nourishing, relishing in this experience of being filled by the healing light of Medicine Buddha, breaking down any barriers we might have that say that we don't deserve this healing, that that we should give it to someone else, that any guilt we might have about receiving this healing. Just let it all be held in space and in light. And we'll begin the mantra. Te ya taum began ze began ze maha began ze raja sumungate soa. Te ya taum began ze began ze maha began ze raja sumungate soa. Te Adao Began Ze Began Ze Ma Began Ze Raza Sumugate Soa. Te Adao Began Ze Began Ze Ma Began Ze Raza Sumugate Soa. Te Adao Began Ze Began Ze Ma Began Ze Raja Sumungate Soa. Te Adao Began Ze Began Ze Ma Began Ze Raja Sumungate Soa. Te Adao Began Ze Began Ze Ma Began Ze Raja Sumugate Soa. Te Adao Began Ze Began Ze Ma Began Ze Raja Sumugate Soa. Te Adao Began Ze Began Ze Ma Began Ze Raja Sumungate Soa. Te Adao Began Ze Began Ze Ma Began Ze Raja Sumungate Soa. Deyadam vegan ze mahavegan ze gate so Deyadam vegan ze mahavegan ze gate so Te ada omega te soha. Te ada omega ze maha vegan ze raja sumangate soha. Te Adam Megan Ze Vegan Ze Mahavegan Ze Raja Sumgate Soa Te Adam Megan Ze Vegan Ze Mahavegan Ze Raja Sumgate Soha Te Adam Megan Ze vegan, ze ma vegan, ze raja samungate soha. Te ada om vegan, ze vegan, ze ma vegan, ze raja samungate soha. Te ada om vegan, ze vegan. Zeraza Vegan Zeraza Sungate Soha Deata Megan Zevegan Zema Vegan Zeraza Sungate Soha Deata Megan Ze vegan, ze maha vegan, ze raja sumangate soa. Te adam vegan, ze vegan, ze maha vegan, ze raja sumangate soa. Te adam vegan, ze vegan, ze maha vegan. Se Raja Sumangate Soa Te Ata Megan Se Vegan Se Ma Vegan Se Raja Samgate Soa Te Ata Megan Se Vegan Se Ma Vegan Se Raja Sumangate Soha Te Adam Began Ze Began Ze Mahabegan Ze Raja Samungate Soha. So as we're filled with light here, we may imagine ourselves, this medicine Buddha in our heart center, begin to expand and grow to the point in which we ourselves are held inside of the heart center of Medicine Buddha. In their warm, caring, loving heart, feeling held, surrounded, like a warm blanket over our shoulders. And we and Medicine Buddha begin to share out this light that has filled our bodies into the world, not taking away any of the light that's inside of us. Just like we were a vase being filled up with water, we are now overflowing with this light, this endless energy of liberation. And we begin to pour it into beings and communities that surround us, allowing our minds to go to where that light is needed, where that healing is needed. And as we pour that light, we touch in with our genuine wish for those beings to be free, to have what they need. And continuing to pour out this light, I will begin to read from the prayer document. And we can continue to pour light into these situations, into these people, into these prayers. For all the people displaced in Mexico City due to gentrification. For all the many animals on land that are struggling to find food and water in the changing climate. May they find help and find what they need. Prayers for all the many animals in the sea and the air struggling to find food and safety because of the changing climate. May they get help from the humans who are near them. Prayers for all my beloved that they be held and cared for deeply, and that Sarah P. has all her dreams come true, and so does Joanie. Prayers for all those undergoing great loss and disorientation. May they gain the strength they need to make it through, and also may they have the company and consolation in the process. Prayers that I surrender more deeply to divinity. Prayers that we may all get free so that we can help others to get free. Prayers for the safety and basic needs of all people to be met. Prayers for the health and well-being of Leah, Lauren, Abby, and Holly. Prayers that voters take action from love rather than fear. Prayers for M, for her family, for the end of sexism and the pain it causes to so many. Prayers for myself, for wisdom and goodness in my relationships. Prayers for healing, guidance, understanding. Prayers for L's return, that we may find each other in ease and peace and work through conflict with care and patience. Prayers that I may find my way back to myself and my body, to discipline and balance. Prayers for all suffering and the long night of winter that creeps towards us. Prayers for me and my family as we navigate how to support our 6-year-old son and his neurodivergence when he is verbally and physically abusive towards us. Prayers for Palestine and people experiencing grief. Prayers for the well-being of all. Prayers for my heat. May it get soft. Prayers that I may be able to figure out what's causing these fevers and for healing. Prayers for people to understand how their vote will truly impact this election. Prayers for me that healing and integration post illness continues so that I may be well again. Prayers for Lama Rod and all who are traveling to gather together to practice in Europe. For wellness, safety, and liberation. Prayers for abolition and an end to all forms of carcerality in all realms and timelines for all beings. Prayers for this beautiful saga to be free. Prayers for universal and complete liberation of all beings in all realms and timelines. Prayers for my friend, Frank Harmon, who had hernia surgery last week and is having a painful recovery. Prayers for everyone in the Middle East. Prayers for Blinken and Biden to wake up and realize that Netanyahu isn't going to respond to anything other than stopping weapons transfers. May they decide to do that. May the wars on all fronts stop. Prayers for long life for my teacher, Lodro Rinpoche, who will have his 82nd birthday this month. Prayers that Harris Waltz are elected, that NC elections will all go well. May we begin to turn the corner into a more caring, compassionate society. May all those who tend towards violence and hatred be healed deeply. May there be relief from all the anxieties from everything outside, inside, physically, emotionally, spiritually. May my sleep be restored. May my daughter and her family remain well and feel resourced and strong. Prayers that I am always wrapped in all types of abundance and love. May I always be protected and cared for. Prayers to my best friends, Megan and Tony, as they navigate getting care to support Tony's dementia and figure out their next steps. May they receive all the love and support that they need from beings seen and unseen. Prayers for myself. May I rest so my service comes from strength, embodied by the spirit that calls me forth to spread a word of hope, of peace, of compassion, of possibility of freedom for myself and all beings. Prayers for my precious neighborhood. May it be replete, resplendent, and protected until the end of the age. Prayers to all beings who are suffering from war, famine, disease. All beings who have not encountered the light and feel lost and trapped in the darkness. Prayers for my daughter that she may continue to grow and that she may spread light in the world like she already has. May all beings be liberated as quickly as possible, and may all resources that are available for the liberation of those beings be summoned as quickly as possible. And may we be supported in this work of the liberation of all beings. May it be so. And as we return to the mantra practice for a few more minutes here, we can imagine ourselves continue to be held in the heart center of Medicine Buddha. And we can also imagine that we are Medicine Buddha. We are both. And we are radiating light from our hearts to all the beings that were mentioned in our prayers, and to all beings everywhere, so that all may be free. Teya Taum Meganze Beganze Mahabeganze Radzasumungate Soa Teya Taum Beganze Beganze Mahabeganze Radzasumungate Soa Teya Taum Beganze Beganze Ze Mahavegan Ze Raja Sungate Soha Te Ada Megan Ze Vegan Ze Mahavegan Ze Raja Sungate Soha Te Ada Megan Ze Vegan Ze Mahavegan Ze Raja Sungate Soha te a da vegan ze vegan ze maha vegan ze radha sumgate suha te a da vegan ze vegan ze maha vegan ze radha sumgate suha te a da vegan ze vegan ze maha vegan Ze Raja Sumgate Soha Te Yata Megan Ze Vegan Ze Mahavegan Ze Raja Sumgate Soha Te Yata Megan Ze Vegan Ze Mahavegan Ze Raja Sumgate Soha Te Yata Megan Vegan, Ze Mahavegan, Ze Rajas Gate Soha, Te Ada Megan, Ze Vegan, Ze Mahavegan, Ze Rajas Gate Soha, Te Ada Megan, Ze Vegan, Ze Mahavegan, Ze Rajas Gate Soha. Te ada megan ze vegan ze maha vegan ze raja sumungate soha. Te ada megan ze vegan ze maha vegan ze raja sumungate soha. Te ada megan ze vegan ze maha vegan Ze Raja Sumangate Soha Te Ada Megan Ze Vegan Ze Mahavegan Ze Raja Sumangate Soha Te Ada Megan Ze Vegan Ze Ve Mahavegan Ze Raja Gate soha te ada megan ze vegan ze mahavegan ze raja samungate soha. Having radiated this light, we can begin to feel that light collect back into our heart center. And the image of Medicine Buddha itself dissolves into light. And then the light itself dissolves into space. And once again, we can just be in that space, blessed by the love of all of our benefactors. Truly safe. We can connect with the feeling of our bodies meeting the ground, our feet touching the ground, or however we're in contact with the earth. And begin to return to our bodies, to this time and space, and offer movement to our bodies, whatever it feels like we need. And if you need to do a few cleansing breaths, this is a good moment too. And we'll end our practice here with Shanti Deva's prayer, which is how we can dedicate the merit, any merit that we've received from this practice for the benefit of all beings. We'll say this 3 times. May I be protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May it be so. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm feeling just a lot of energy of love kind of held in that right now. I realize I think, wow, I lost track of time.
Nonsense.
We were in a space outside of time, like Lama Rod says.